So hi everyone, welcome to our presentation. We will be focusing on using OBS Studio with the Community of Inquiry framework to enhance online instruction. My name is Krystle Frangi, and I'm an educational developer specializing in assessment and online learning for the Center of Teaching and Learning.
Hey everyone, my name is David Kwasny. I am the Digital Projects and Technologies Librarian at UTSC Library. I work within the Digital Scholarship Unit, and let's get started. Okay, so what is OBS Studio? OBS Studio is a software that I became interested in right when the pandemic started. As I was getting more interested in streaming platforms such as Twitch. Twitch is an online community where video game players stream their live video game playing, camera themselves and their reactions to their playing, and also respond to chat communication from their viewers, as well as produce really high intense graphics. All synchronously at the same time. When I started getting more into this platform, I was curious about what software they were using to produce this content, and that led me to OBS Studio. Once I started getting into OBS Studio, I was interested in how I could apply this to my own work and to my own instruction. So I looked into how I could integrate OBS Studio into conferencing software such as Zoom, which we're in right now. And I found that individuals were using virtual cameras, which is a camera that your computer tells itself it has available. And it uses another application to stream that into this virtual environment that we are now in. So what we're looking at on the screen is actually my desktop and the production of what I'm doing in OBS Studio at the moment. So you can see our previous, what is a scene in OBS Studio, and our preview. This was a preview of what we just looked at. And then right now, this is what we're looking at right now. And you can see that that's my mouse moving around on my screen. So with OBS Studio, the best way to compare it to previous presentation software is to compare it to something like PowerPoint or slides. And what we can make the analogy of is that scenes are a lot like slides. You can see down in this left corner over here that I have a whole bunch of scenes, and it has my intro, and then this is my what is OBS Studio, and then all the other scenes or slides that I'm going to be opening. And then over here I have sources. So sources are just like the text or the images, graphics that you put on any slide that you're going to be presenting with. So you can see that there's a video capture device. This is my camera. If I click on this eyeball, I disappear and I reappear. Same with Krystle. I can make her disappear and reappear. And then you can see that I have all these different color sources. This is text. So you just apply all of these really basic graphic design principles into developing scenes using sources, and it creates a new method of presenting content. I also have the ability to adjust my desktop and audio, so it gives me greater control of a lot of functions in my presentation style. I can also transition between these two as fast as I'd like to, and that's how we switch between each of these slides. It also has a couple other interesting features, like the ability to record. So screen recording is a great benefit with OBS Studio, and it can replace software like Camtasia, which costs like $300 a year per license. And OBS Studio is open source and free. So the benefits of using OBS Studio are great, and they're limitless. And I like to tell people that OBS Studio is just as beneficial in presentations as you are creative. And I strongly believe that. So with the technical side right here, I will allow Krystle to continue and discuss the pedagogical side using the community of inquiry framework.
Thanks, David. So as much as the technical side is very important, a tool needs to be contextualized and aligned with the research and the pedagogy to really get its full use and its most effective use. So what I found with after David showed me the OBS software was that it really aligned with the community of inquiry framework. And I'm going to discuss a little bit about the community of inquiry framework. As you can see here, it has three types of presence. You have social presence, which kind of emphasizes the opportunities for students to interact with their peers. You have cognitive presence, which really emphasizes the opportunities for students to interact with the content. And then you have teaching presence, which emphasizes on the opportunities for students to interact with their instructor. When all these three come together, you create this community of inquiry. And OBS really does help to enhance all three presence. And what I'm going to do is going to show you how it does that. So let's get started and dive deeper with it. All right. So for teaching presence, OBS really does support this one. And it's because the instructor really has, I guess you could say, really in the center stage kind of presence in the software. So one thing I want to emphasize is that their presence is emphasized even more through the features of OBS. So as you can see at the top here, you have the running banner. And this banner is great if you want to alert students to like important information. Hey, essay or is due coming up, or maybe you have a test coming up. But it's really good to emphasize information you need them to be paying attention to and running throughout the course. At the bottom here, you have discussion questions. And these discussion questions are great because it really does help to keep students I guess you could say in line with what's happening. So if you're having a discussion, it's really nice for students to have the questions there so they know, okay, you're at question 1, there it is right there. You're at question 2, there it is right there. So it's really good to kind of keep this information at the forefront and really have not only your presence there, but reminders for students, what's happening in course, what's coming up, and it's not overwhelming for them. So these are two features that really does help to demonstrate and enhance teaching presence just by using OBS. Okay, so now we're going to talk about cognitive presence and OBS. Cognitive presence really emphasizes the need to give students opportunities to interact with the content. And OBS does allow that. It really does enhance that kind of opportunity. And you're probably wondering how. Well, the first way, as you can see, you got the arrows pointing at the title. And this is great because it really does allow you to put something, where you want to emphasize. Maybe you want to emphasize, hey, are you in the right room, or are you get ready to test this next week, just emphasizing content. Now, on this side, you have your chat, and it's really nice to display your chat because it allows you to keep an eye on what the students are talking about. Maybe they bring up a really good idea that you want to bring into your lecture. So it's really nice to keep an eye on that chat and keep an eye on what they're talking about, what they're dissecting in terms of, they're challenging each other maybe with something you're lecturing. So it's really nice to have that chat display there, right? On the opposite side, you have, the participants. And this is really, you're probably wondering, why are we even displaying the participants? Well, the thing is, with the participants, when you see them in a list, they might be reacting to you as you talk. Maybe they're using the emojis. You might see the heart emoji, or you might see the thumbs up. And that's a great way to show and just tell you in the most simplistic form, that they're paying attention, that they're involved in your lecture, right? So they're great. They're really good, they're really good ways to display things, to keep an eye on, how they're interacting with the course and the content. I also want to just emphasize, with the participants list, it comes in handy because it's a great way to remember, who's showing up in your class, and the names to call on students as well. So just these small things really does help to enhance cognitive presence with OBS. So what we're going to talk about now is social presence in OBS. Social presence really important because it really does put an emphasis on, are you giving students opportunities to interact with each other? And some people assume OBS doesn't do this because it has such a strong teacher presence, but it really does give students the opportunities to interact with each other and to pay attention to each other's workings within OBS. And David's going to talk more about this.
Okay, so what we can see over here is a recording of a workshop that I did with my students. It's a workshop on storyboarding. And so what's going on is each of us are using OBS Studio, and we're each sharing the program of OBS Studio into our virtual camera, into Zoom, into Teams. And so within OBS Studio, the two sources that we generally have are a screen share of what we see on our screen and a camera. So we can see how we are responding to what we are doing. But then also we can see what each individual is doing on their screen. A benefit of using OBS Studio in this way is that I don't have to give permissions, like hosting permissions, to any of my students to see what's on their screen. So in applications like Zoom, it can be a highly restricted environment. And this kind of bypasses that, and we each have the ability to select each individual and see what they're doing and participate and converse about what they're doing on their screen and discuss the various ideas of the workshop with each other in real time without having to switch between who is screen sharing and not. So it really does have the dynamic ability to interact with everybody very quickly and very responsively. So it can definitely enhance that social presence of community and discussing with each other what you're doing in a virtual environment, which is really difficult to do synchronously. So yeah, OBS Studio is great for social presence and instruction.
Yeah. All right, so that's how OBS really does align with the community of inquiry framework and enhances all three presence. We're going to talk a little bit now about our project. The Digital Learning Producers Training Program is part of the virtual learning strategy from eCampus Ontario. It was funded through this strategy. And that's how we were able to really do a pilot project with OBS and how it can impact online learning and teaching. For our project specifically, we have 4 instructors and 3 graduate students supporting those instructors with using OBS in their classroom. So that's just a quick overview with our project. And David's going to talk a little bit more in detail about it being an open resource.
So as part of the VLS grant that we received from eCampus Ontario, one aspect of the grant was that we had to use all open resources, and we have to openly license everything we produce. So we're using OBS because it's an open source software, which means that it's available for anyone to use for no cost at all. But then we're creating this training program that's a full course within our learning management system. And it's going to be exported from our learning management system. And we are going to hand it off to eCampus Ontario. And it's going to be stored in their open library. The eCampus Ontario Open Library is a collection of hundreds of open courses that anyone in Ontario is free to use. And this is actually like a really great time to be promoting it because it happens to be Open Access Week. So Open Access Week is where educational professionals promote open resources because they're more equitable. It allows for anyone of any means to gain this valuable information. So yeah, all of our resources and all of our software, it's all open source, open educational. It's really wonderful. And if you're not in Ontario, the UTSC library will also be hosting this resource within our learning objects collection. So that's pretty exciting. And wherever you are, you will be able to take the digital learning producers training program and take it and put it into whatever learning management system you have and allow your students, your institution to have this training program free. So pretty exciting stuff.
Right. So with that, we want to say thank you for attending our presentation. We hope you enjoyed it and that you will try out using OBS in your course. Please feel free to leave any comments in the online forum or send David and I a direct message, and we'll definitely get back to you. Bye.
Bye. Have a great day. Cool.
I think that was good.